Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number. Listen, write it down. You may want to run to the phone today. 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. Gold is ripping here. Silver's going with it. Right now, gold is at 1963, up 27. It's just starting. This is just the beginning. There's a lot of news breaking today. Silver up 42 cents right now, 25.62 and rising. The Dow's down over 500 points. Crude oil up $5. Unleaded gas. This is absolutely insane. 345 unleaded gas futures. Remember, we closed Friday at 270. That's wholesale unleaded gas. You got to put the taxes and this and that. I mean, how this works, at least for Arizona, at about $1.20. At $1.20, that's about the retail price. So, 345, 445, 465. $5 gas is coming, and I don't think it's going to stop there. Inflation, the Fed is way behind, and there's no catching up. And get your orders in. We are going to. I'm so excited right now. I can't even believe. But when you've been in business as long as we have, things like this that we're going to do today just happen. We have secured an incredible deal this morning. We'll get to it in a minute. But Jason, there is talk out there. Hal Turner talking about Russia maybe going to the gold standard. And what really makes it interesting is we know that the BRIC countries, Brazil, China, Russia, India, have been adding a lot of gold to their reserves. And when you think about countries who have not condemned Russia, through the United Nations votes, India abstained, Brazil abstained, China abstained. This morning, a threat from the U.S. State Department to the Chinese about circumventing these Russian sanctions. Jason, this whole thing, the whole dollar world order may be under attack this morning.
Yeah, the news from Hal, he said that the news broke at 6:45 Colorado time. So this, it's almost like this news is being planned so that when the American markets open today, that everyone's going to get this news all at the same time. It's very, very interesting, Joe. And I checked a few other sources. So far, I've gotten 3 or 4 sources saying that Russia has dropped the 20% tax, the VAT on their gold, and it appears that they're going to back their currency with gold. And this puts us into all kinds of crazy scenarios where, Joe, it seems to me that we've been talking about the world reserve currency either going to a digital-only something currency or the yuan. And why do I get the feeling the Russia versus the West is going to be the story? And then, hey, well, China's neutral. Let's go to the yuan as the global currency because they have the manufacturing, Joe.
They've got the manufacturing. If you get India and Brazil on board with Russia, by the way, an even scarier thought here, Russia today saying that they are going to suspend all fertilizer shipments. This is another big deal. Food prices, articles today, farmers in the U.S. warning grocery bills could go up by $1,000. And they're talking in a month. I don't know that could possibly happen, but anything's possible at this point.
Hyperinflation makes any price possible, Joe. And if this actually holds and they go to a gold standard, it's going to make payments going from country to country freeze. And when that happens, countries are going to go to what makes the most sense, what has value. And suddenly, gold in these BRIC countries become very valuable, Joe.
Yeah, we got gold now. We are less than $100 away from the all-time closing high. Gold's now up 1965 here. Be ready. This is everything is set up here. I will not be surprised at all if we're at all-time highs next week and going a lot higher than that. The situation, again, this has been the worst-case scenario from the get-go. Obviously, the best-case scenario would have been us backing off and saying, listen, we're not going to – Ukraine's not joining NATO. It's not going to be part of the EU. We're throw that all – and all of this could have been avoided. No. Instead, it's an invasion. The next best scenario was the invasion's over. Russia, it's over, right? But we've supplied weapons. We've done all of these things. This war, very protracted now. Overnight, Russia took over, secured the largest nuclear plant in all of Europe. There was there was a fire a lot to that. I won't go into it, but right now. The Russians are sending a message, Jason, loud and clear.
Yeah, they're not going after fiat currencies. They're taking over things that actually have value. A nuclear power plant, pretty valuable if things get going the way they're going, Joe. And so, looking at this, it's the prices on the special that Joe's going to announce. We can only guess, but it very likely could be that this is the last time we ever sell gold at these prices. That is how good this special is going to be.
This is the all-time best special of all time coming up. We'll do that here next. I just want to let everyone know gas futures hit an all-time record high today. Aluminum futures all-time record high today. Natural gas futures. You're starting to see the picture here. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason are coming right back. Get ready to dial. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here. I'm just tickled to be able to do what we're going to do next. Earlier this week, we ran those 20s. Remember? 21.95. And I was like, man, this is the stone cold lead pipe lock. Right, this is the greatest price ever, the best special of the year. Gold's up $50 from Monday, and it's not done. We've got 100 $10 liberties. Right now, $10 liberties are $1,150. Take $50 off at $1,100. So that means 2 10s would be $2,200. I've got 100 of those. I've got 75 20s at $2,200. Essentially, what I'm telling you is you take the whole move of gold this week, throw it out the window. I will not be surprised at all if next week we're talking about gold's $2,200. And right now, I can just tell you right now, this was a fluke. You can thank Arlene with the luckiest phone call maybe of all time. One of our largest wholesalers who's had no product, I mean nothing. Brittany and I yesterday were laughing about it because she said, Joe, I can't believe it. We've bought 120 and 2 5s from them all year. What is going on? He never has anything. He had it. It's all gone. We bought every 10, every 20 he had. He had 5s. We called back to buy those. They were already gone. You're never going to replace these. You're talking about $20 gold right now, $2,270. You're going to save $70 on a 20. You're going to save $50 on a 10. 2 10s, you're saving $100. This is a no-brainer. Don't even think about it. Back up the truck. 800-951-0592. If you've never done it, and I know a lot of you out there listen, oh man, I should do it. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. This is it. Just call up. I got one line open. That's it. Just call up. You just tell the girls, I want the special. And they say, well, which one? You want the 10s? You want the 20s?
You want both.
And then you just tell them which one you want and how many you want. And it's just that simple. Here's the great thing about doing business with us. We're all about privacy here. We don't call you. We don't email you. We don't bother you you could go out and buy, hey, I want all the 10s. Just give them all to me. Okay, great. You pay for it. We give you your product. Have a nice day. you know, the next time you hear from us, it's going to be the next time you call us. That's just how we do business, right, Jason?
That's exactly right. And so what Joe is basically throwing in front of you is that he found for the first time something that's more of a lock than a stone-cold lead pipe lock.
This is bigger than that. I don't know. I don't have any more words for it.
Well, you did say it this morning to me on the phone. It's the freak Frankenstein monster deal. How's that? That's bigger than a lead pipe lock. The freak Frankenstein monster deal.
All lines are busy right now. Just keep calling. You can leave a voicemail. Okay, one line just popped open. If you're getting a busy signal, just keep trying. You can leave a message, but I don't know how long this is going to last. Like I said, these are irreplaceable.
Here's a story from a year ago.
To do it again.
Here's a story from a year ago. Russia now has more gold than dollars. This was January of 2021, Joe. You know, the point of no return. If this, you know, depending on what the actual, you know, I'm the guy that thinks the whole thing is rigged. So this could be the global system is moving. You know, Joe, we talked about in the last few months. The reserve currency is about 100-year lifespan, and we've passed that. Or is this actually nations breaking out of the system and causing a huge conflict, which would be even worse? Because breaking up the system in place, Joe, could be very disastrous worldwide.
And again, remember, we like to use the dollar as a weapon, right? And again, I'm not going to justify the war that's happening with Russia and Ukraine. I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying is, we've invaded numerous countries. Right now, somebody else is doing it. And what do we like to do? We like to use the dollar as a weapon. Kick them out of SWIFT. Don't let them do this. Cut them off from that. Right? And sooner or later, right, you worry about, man, is someone going to say enough's enough? Now, Russia's not big enough on its own. But it is very telling. And I don't know what Hal Turner's reporting is right or not. But if he is, and just understand the BRIC nations, right? And we know who they are. Brazil, Russia, India, China. Every single one of these countries has been buying gold off the charts. And I'm just wondering, and by the way, Brazil, India, China still want to do business with Russia. And you know what? Actually, I hate to say it, throw Mexico in there. Mexico, same thing. They're like, we're not sanctioning them.
Well, and Joe, all the silver at a ridiculously low price, and all this gold that's been at a ridiculously low price, especially the last 4 or 5 years. Well, I've said many times, well, there's some big player that's scooping it up. They don't want to scoop it up for $3,000 an ounce. They want to scoop it up at 19 or 18 or 17 or 1,600 an ounce. I'm sure they haven't reported what they actually have, Joe. It's probably massively more than we know.
Probably is. We'll see what happens if this becomes formalized. And again, I want to mention, because it needs to be mentioned, because I didn't understand it until Jason and I started talking this morning, and everything made sense. This morning, the State Department came out and issued a warning to Beijing about serious consequences if they help Moscow evade sanctions, right? So now they're saying if China tries to help Russia evade sanctions in the wake of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, it will face countermeasures. What the hell is so important about Ukraine? This isn't about Ukraine. There's no way, Jason, this can be about Ukraine.
It's not about Ukraine. It never has been. Any of these little nations that get picked out and a war happens in Iraq or in Afghanistan or in Libya, it's never about those little countries. It's about the
once
global
again,
monetary
all
system.
lines are busy again. Just keep trying. We'll get to you in the order that we called. $20 gold, $2,200. $10 gold, $1,100. I have no idea how many were left. We had 75 20s and 100 10s. This is the deal of the century. Get it taken care of. I just had a line pop open, so if you want to get on,
let me add, Joe, that the deal that you're offering today, we have those $20. What I like about this special is the guys that bought earlier this week they're well priced. It always sucks a little bit when you have a good gold special, gold drops a little bit, and then you got a better special. Everyone has to buy at the price that they agree to. But this is Joe basically giving you $30 an ounce because gold is up $30 an ounce right now. We're giving you $30 an ounce because Joe bought it so well. Joe,
we're giving more than that. I mean, right now
it's more than that.
$20 go $2,270. But today, because of this deal, right, it's $2,200. $10 libs, $1,100. By the way, China is responding, saying, and let me find it here. I want to get it right. China firmly opposes all illegal unilateral sanctions and believes that sanctions are never fundamentally effective in a means to solve problems. So, Jason, this thing is absolutely heating up here. And again, and I've always wondered if this was a coordinated deal. You know, there's talk that Putin waited till after the elections to invade Ukraine. Is China going to make a play for Taiwan? And do they think that they've got Brazil and India with them? Because let's face it, right? These are very, very important country for things, right? Brazil is a huge, outside of us, Brazil is a farm belt. Right, soybeans, coffee, right, things that people need. Ukraine, another farm belt. Now Russia's saying that they want to suspend all fertilizer sales, and that I don't even know what to say to that, Jason. This just looks like this thing keeps going in the wrong direction. This is what happens when you got a weak leader in charge. Joe Biden has no respect from anybody anywhere, Jason.
Here's a quote from Putin from a little over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. We used to behave naively, but now we see that the World Trade Organization's rules are all too often broken. The restrictions are imposed for political reasons, which they call sanctions. Plus, more and more of them are imposed to secure favorite competitive advantages. Sure sounds like that's just what China just said, Joe.
It really is. That's a scary statement coming out of China. One line open. I'll keep trying to update you as lines come open. We have one line open. I still have several people on hold. Just stay on hold. Brittany and Arlene will get to you as quickly as they can. And again, I'm watching here oil shipments. Remember, I've been talking about, by the way, the last line is ringing right now, so keep trying. But Russian oil is selling at a discount, Jason, of over $20 a barrel, and nobody is buying them from the port terminals. These would be deliveries not to India, not to China, Jason. Nobody's buying.
The deal that you secured today, Joe, let's take ourselves to Monday, and we're going to try to sell some more gold. Gold goes up again a little bit or a lot. Doesn't really matter. What would you be selling these coins for? When this sells out today, what would you be selling these same coins for next week on Monday? Normal circumstances.
Tens would be 11, and this is assuming. Listen, I've gotten 2 price increases so far today. By the way, there you go. One line open. Two so far today. Gold's up 30. If it stays here, in other words, let's just say gold stays at 1965 on Monday, we'd be looking at 1150 on the 10s. We'd be looking at 2270 on the 20s. But again, this is a physical market, right? So supply-demand fundamentals are what matters. And I don't know what's happening with the wholesalers. They may unilaterally all of a sudden say, hey, you know what? Hey, we're raising prices another $20 or $30 because they can't replace the gold for that amount. I will tell you right now, the situation continues to deteriorate. So just to give you an idea, Russia, there's 3 different port terminals. So these are ships pull up into a port and they pump it full of oil. 2 of the terminals do 1 million barrels a day. The 3rd terminal does 500,000 barrels a day. That's 2.5 million barrels of crude oil that Nobody wants to buy because they're worried, hey, I can't buy it publicly. Because the United States or the EU may come after me, right? And private banks aren't financing and they're not buying any of that oil. We don't have capacity for this. This is how stupid our president is. We knew Russia was mounting troops up against Ukraine like in November. They started gradually. By December, right, it was kind of a big deal. He still, even today, hasn't said, let's get drilling. Could you imagine if we had started drilling and started making that push in November? At least by today, we would be pumping at least 500,000, maybe 1 million barrels more. Now, it's not 2.5 million. But, Jason, he hasn't even done it. Keystone Pipeline. We could get 850,000 barrels a day. Now, granted, it's not it's the heavier crude, but we can work with it. None of that's happened. Patriot Radio News Hour. Hey, I got 2 lines open. 800-951-0592. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Listen, half the 10s are gone already. Over a third of the 5s are gone already. And I hate to say, I got one line open.
5s or 20s? 20s, right?
20s. We got about 50 of the 20s left. We had 25. We're over a third of the way through there. At 2,200, we've sold over half of the 10s. The 10s are going to be gone here very quickly at 1,100. They're both going to be gone. We may not make it out of the hour. Don't wait. I know you want to hear the show and all that. Don't worry about it. Get on the phone. Get the orders placed. 800-951-0592.
Joe, let me jump in.
Breaking news. Hold on, Jason. Okay. I got breaking news. Barron's talking that Russia may default. So here you go, Jason. I think this leads into the story Hal Turner was talking about. Is Russia going to the gold standard? The State Department issuing threats to the Chinese. This thing, Jason, is just picking up momentum.
I just want you to read at least twice more on the broadcast the Chinese response, because here's how chilly that response is. It gives a sense of isolation to China, saying, hey, this is just our opinion. But it also basically says, you got to read between the lines, Joe. That statement you read from China is basically saying sanctions is a form of war. It's almost saying, hey, if you're going to sanction Russia, that's attacking that country. You're attacking Russia.
So what Jason's talking about this morning, the State Department issued a warning to the Chinese about serious consequences for Beijing if they help Moscow evade sanctions. If China tries to help Russia evade sanctions in the wake of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, it will face countermeasures, senior U.S. State Department said. Now, here's what's interesting. China responded. China firmly opposes all illegal unilateral sanctions and believes that sanctions are never fundamentally effective means to solve problems.
It's chilly, Joe. I mean, that's them trying to play the in-between. We're not really in this thing, but hey, you're threatening to do the same thing to us. You're doing to Russia, and that is they're not saying that out loud. That's a form of war, Joe. That is, and it is. It's a form of war. You're attacking a country. You attack. If you're a burglar and you go into someone's house and you steal all their money and their gold, that's a violent action, even though you're not having violence there, Joe. That's exactly what's going on. But when are these sanctions going to be considered a form of war? And I think people are going to start feeling it now, Joe.
Yeah, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Weibin. That's my Chinese enunciation for those of you listening at home here. Said that we blame Washington for being the culprit of the situation in Ukraine. Washington claims to be preventing war in Europe. Did it accomplish that mission? It claims to be committed to peaceful resolution, but what has it done in that regard except for providing military aid and enhancing military deterrence? And again, I said this from the beginning, the next best scenario outside of avoiding it all, which we could have done and chose not to, was for this to have been over quickly. Instead, we wanted this to last. Listen, we're flooding Ukraine with weapons. We're helping the Ukrainians. And this is just, Jason, this is taking a very ugly step this morning. And it's escalating. It's not getting better. This is getting worse.
Joe, that was, I went to watch the State of the Union address on Tuesday. And right before Joe Biden stepped up to the podium, CBS News, which was the leading news outlet on this story, was, well, the Pentagon briefed Congress and said this is a 10 to 20-year war we're facing. I've never heard of such a thing. Therick Dave did remind me on yesterday's show, Joe, that President George W. Bush did say that the war on terror was going to be a 100-year war. So I guess that's the other time where somebody said there's going to be a long-term war. But 10 to 20 years sounds about right now, Joe.
Yeah, doesn't it? This is just incredible. It really truly is absolutely incredible as we're watching all of this play out. And again, where is the drilling? I mean, my gosh, we could, if this continues, and we really, I heard this morning some ridiculous concessions that we're trying to give Iran, right, to get them to be able to sell on the open market. They're already selling privately, so it really, it's kind of a misnomer. But this administration, this is worse than Jimmy Carter. I mean, by the way, just so you know, in the last 2 days, commodity prices have risen the fastest since 1974. And again, Jason, this comparison to the 70s we've been drawing, we've got a weak man at the... Listen, the central bank still hasn't raised rates. They're still buying bonds.
You may want to do a quick search on Saudi Arabia's reaction to this. I have a feeling they're gonna turn on us on a dime, Joe. I talked about that yesterday on the show. It's like, it won't take nothing. Russia and China, if they pull out, I think Saudi Arabia turns on us.
Well, listen, we don't really buy a lot of oil from Saudi. We're still buying. Here's the sad part. We're still buying like 500,000 barrels a day from Russia.
Yep.
Oil.
That might.
And again, you say, well, why would we buy oil from Russia? Well, because they've got the right kind that we can send to one of our refineries and turn it into gasoline or diesel or plastic. And again, just you mentioned Saudi Arabia. OPEC just met 3 days ago. 40%, and actually now 50% when you throw Russia in there now, 50% of all OPEC countries already aren't meeting their production goals. In other words, they agree, hey, you can produce 1 million barrels, you can produce 1.5 million, you can do 2. They can't do it. And oil's almost $120, and they can't do it. Where is this administration? This is why the phone lines have been jam-packed all day. By the way, I got lines open for the first time in 40 minutes. 800-951-0592. The $10 Liberties, whatever's left at 1100. The 20s, whatever's left at 2200. At 800-951-0592. And again, we have an escalation, at least in the war of words, with the State Department and China this morning. So again, once again, a new wrinkle in all of this. Obviously, Russia seizing the largest nuclear plant in all of Europe last night. And now Russia's saying, hey, we're just going to start halting fertilizer shipments and everything else. Yeah. All-time record highs are coming. 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. Gold 1967 now. Up 31, almost $32. Silver's up 55 cents. 25.75. That's really good for silver too, by the way. whatever's left. Arlene and Brittany cannot get off the phones. I do have a line open, 800-951-0592. Again, this is...
Well, Joe, let me jump in real quick, Joe.
Stupid sale.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jason, hurry, because I got more breaking news.
Really quick, the reason there's so much urgency on this special is because this is an allotment of coins that are going to be at this price and this price only. Sometimes we can buy more coins to try to add to these specials, and there's things we do behind the scenes. That's not the case here. There's urgency here because this is the price on these
Jason
coins.
is right. There's some sand in it, and I can get some more that's close enough. Not that, no. This is irreplaceable for what we're doing today, and unfortunately, I don't even think if prices just stayed here, we're going to have much higher prices on Monday. I think we're going to have, here's the funny part. Don't be shocked. Do not be shocked if, next Friday we're talking about gold being at all-time highs. Don't be.
I think gold goes up 4 out of 5 days each week in the next for the rest of March, Joe. I think you have 4 green days and 1 red day as an average every week for the rest of March. That's where this is headed.
Yeah, you got to have some pullbacks, but this is a freight train. So we talked about banks. There's word now that some smaller Italian and Swiss banks are in trouble. This just breaking. It's called a forward rate agreement, or FRA. Okay, so this is some interbanking things, and when the FRA starts climbing, that means banks are getting nervous about lending to other banks. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Remember the financial crisis, right, where the banks said, hey, I don't want to lend to that bank, right, because that's what banks do overnight. They swap. Hey, I've got extra money. You need money. Let's just make a little swap. And they're like, nope, I don't want that bank's debt. I don't want that bank's debt. And this is at a time when allegedly here in 2 weeks, we're going to stop buying debt. The risk premium is broken out here. And then they have what they call the overnight index swap, or OIS. This also has spiked up today, and this is, again, more commonly used as the Fed's main interest rate target. And these are where the banks are saying, hey, you know what? At this crappy interest rate, Jason, it's not worth it. I don't want to lend to other banks in the system.
Yeah, Russia up in their interest rates from 9.5% to 20%, starting to seem a little more logical, doesn't it, Joe?
Yeah, these are scary things, because these are things that we don't hear of very often. There's a chart Zero Hedge put up, and this thing is just ugly looking chart. The normal rate when everybody's feeling good about it is about a 15. Right now the chart's at 36. So it's, you're just sitting there thinking, man, it's almost tripled here. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with, and we said it again yesterday, there's banks on the other side of all these trades, right? Who holds Russia's debt? Who holds Gazprom's debt? Who holds all the big Russian oil companies' debt? And now Ukraine, right? Let's face it, they're not shipping anything. Who holds all their debt? And there's people on the other side of these trades, and now the system's getting nervous again, because as we know, these things, Jason, are so intertwined that it just starts spreading. Right now with the threat from China, is all of a sudden our banks going to be like, man, I don't even know if I want to do business with China now.
I think when the Wall Streeters actually sit back and read the information, that we're probably a couple of hours ahead of them, Joe. Some of these Wall Streeters, they probably won't actually see what China said till late in the day, or maybe even over the weekend. You could see a sell-off on Monday that is it may just be business as usual, but it might be a massive sell-off, Joe, because they don't want to hear that China says that sanctions is a form of war, because that's what they're saying. That people, they're going to want to see China siding with Russia. That's what they don't want to see.
I'll put it this way: Apple, has suspended everything in Russia. Now, could you imagine if Apple had to say, okay, we're not selling phones in China? Listen, the number one market in the world for Apple is China, not us. They sell more phones there than anywhere. I mean, this would be, you know what that would do to their stock, right? I mean, the ramifications here are really, and I don't give two craps about Wall Street. I really don't.
Nope.
It's about these banks. And all of a sudden, if there's another banking emergency, what in the world are we going to do?
Right. I simply mentioned Wall Street because that's you could usually see the symptoms coming out of those markets.
Right.
So.
That's right. Well, Wall Street's our indicator, right?
Yep.
When we pay attention. Again, listen, Wall Street's done. I'm telling you right now, done. And it's done for a long time.
How about
5, 10,
25 years, Joe. Hey, it happened
in
1929. It was gone for 27 years. And in 1968, it went down. It didn't come back for 25 years. There's no reason to think that this isn't going to be the same thing, Joe.
Yeah. 800-951-0592. I have no idea. The phones have been crazy. Whatever's available, get it while you can. Gold, 1969 now, up 34. Silver, like I said, 25.75. The Dow's down over 400 points. The Nasdaq's down 250. The S&P's down 58. Crude oil rallying back today, up another $4. Unleaded gas futures are saying, somewhere around $4.50 to $4.75 to $5 now. The Energy Department warning everyone to budget for $5 gasoline. Get ready. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. The 10s are sold out. That's it. Sold out of the 10s. We do have some. I knew this was going to happen. We do have some 20s left. They're $2,200 at 800-951-0592. Just think about this. In the last 30 days, gold's up $160. It could be up $160 next week. Really. I mean, $2,200 is going to be it's a steal. It's a bargain. Right now, we've been trending usually about $300 over the spot price. I'm going to tell you right now that number's going to go higher because the premiums keep rising. At $2,200 gold, I don't know, maybe $2,600, Jason.
Joe, gold could go up another $20 to $30 by the end of today.
Yeah, there's a lot of time left in the day. I did not like the situation has escalated significantly. The State Department in a war of words with the Chinese. And again, I read you China's response to the State Department, essentially calling what the United States is doing illegal. They don't think that sanctions work at all. It's not what they should be doing. Chastising the United States for allowing this to happen, saying, where's the peace? You keep talking about peace, but yet you're not doing anything to get the peace. And I'm just curious, because we've talked for a while. What are all these countries doing buying all this gold?
For years.
And think about who's been really buying gold in the last year. Brazil and India. Brazil and India. To go along with, we already know China and Russia. And when you think about, go back to the UN Security Council the other day. Brazil abstained from voting, sanctioning Russia, right? They said, nah, we're not voting. China said, nah, we're not going to vote either. India, nah, we're not voting either. I think this is significant. Again, I don't know, Hal Turner is saying that Russia is establishing a gold standard. I don't know. I don't like how the situation has turned here with our attack on China. And, with how weak this Biden administration is, and it goes back to that disaster in Afghanistan. I think that was one of those. I think that was another thing that it's emboldened China and Russia. And are they? We've always said, hey, are they going to try to come up with a currency to compete against the dollar? We know that's China's ambition. We thought that it was it's still off in the future, and it still may be. But Jason, at least for right now, not a very good situation.
Yeah, my best guess is that this is actually a pre-planned global market thing, and I think they just want to change the world reserve currency. The dollar is going to die. The system in place, the Ponzi scheme, is dying. So you have to have massive emergencies to change it to wherever they're going to change it to, Joe. So one thing that makes me think this is still a worldwide thing, even counting Russia and China in with our system, is China was buying a massive amount of special drawing rights from the IMF for years, Joe, to be a big player in the IMF, possibly a new digital money system for the world, maybe?
Yeah. All the 10s are sold out. We have some 20s left at $2,200. Get them while you can. 800-951-0592. God bless.